What's up, hobby friends? This is a video that I've wanted to create for quite a bit now, but with COVID and with the lockdowns, there really hasn't been any urgency. But now that everyone's starting to get both of their vaccine shots, we're starting to get things like the vaccine passports implemented. I'm starting to see a rise in events. And as things return to normal, I think now is a great opportunity to just share a bit of my experience just in terms of going to events, what to bring, what to pack, and how to prepare, so that whether you're a first-time tournament goer or someone who's a bit more of a veteran who's been to events before can be better equipped for going to an event. So very briefly, I guess talking about what you need to bring just physically. First things first, you got to bring your army. Duh. You're going to need things to play your army. So you're going to need the core rules or the rule book. You'll need your army books. If there are any FAQs, you should probably print up all of them just to have them on hand. And bear in mind, especially for games like 40K or Age of Sigmar, a lot of events require you to bring the hard copies of the rules, not digital copies. So forget about the iPad, forget about the laptop or your phone. Bring the physical rulebook and the army book. You're going to need your standard gaming tools, so dice, tokens, measurement tools, and rulers. Anything you need to play the game, bring those along. And you should also bring a pen or a pencil. This is going to be very useful for keeping track of the scoring for each round, as well as filling out the scorecards and any end of round sheets you submit to the tournament organizers, and just a really handy thing to have. You're going to need your army list, and I do recommend bringing several copies. A good rule of thumb, bring one for the TOs when you submit to the event. Bring one for each of your opponents to have as a quick reference during the game, and then bring one for yourself just as a quick reference, and you can mark down things that you forget. I do know that there are apps like Best Coast Pairing or BCP that a lot of events have started to use or have been using in the past that allow you to submit lists digitally. TOs can have easy access to them, and then your opponents who are also using the app can also view your list there. So that may also be a good alternative, especially if you don't want to print out copies, and in a COVID world, you don't want to be taking things from other people. You're going to want to stay hydrated, so make sure you bring a water bottle. I typically start my day with a coffee, and then I will rinse it out and switch to tap water throughout the day. So I have this mug. It's not sealable, but it is insulated, so it does keep hot things hot and cold things cold. If you bring a bottle with a sealable cap, it does make it easier to carry around, and you don't have to worry about spilling. Especially if you do go to events that do have a bar, make sure that you stay hydrated. You're not just drinking alcohol or pop or juice or whatever else you're drinking. And then bring your own hand sanitizer. This is really, really important with COVID, guys. Make sure that you are staying safe. A couple of extra things are nice to have, but not necessary. I carry around a mini whiteboard and dry erase marker. This is what I use to keep track of the score from turn to turn. Less wasteful than paper, and I can then erase easily and wipe it down after every game and just reuse it. You'll want to bring a hobby repair kit, and what I bring in this is clippers used for clipping metal, a pin vise, paper clips, your drill bits, and then super glue and accelerant. Very often I have found that my models can sometimes break during a game, and whether I need to quick repair it in the middle of or in between rounds, this is a very useful piece of kit to have to be able to fix your models and then get back into the fix. Or get back into the fight, into the mix. My brain just combined the two. This is also really important if you're going for any sort of army presentation or you want to display your models. Nothing's worse than having your models break before an event, before judges have looked at your models and you can't fix them. And now you're stuck with broken models that you can't show. Speaking of, if you're going for army presentation and you have a display board to carry with you, print or make a name card for yourself. So this will have your name and any pertinent information like your army, your faction. If you have social media that you do want to plug, you can put it down below. And if you are, for example, a commissioned painter, you can put contact information for people so when they see your army and they want to get in touch with you, all the information is there. You don't have to hover by your table. Insofar as tournament expectations on the day, things that you need to prepare for, and then diving into a little bit of etiquette. So it's really important to understand that whether this is a 1-day 3-game event, or it's 2 days with 5 or 6 games spread 3 and 3 or 4 and 2 over the 2 days, these events are as much a test of your endurance as they are a test of your player's skill. If you've gone to events before, you're going to know that by the time you hit your 3rd, 4th, and 5th game, you are going to be physically and mentally exhausted. You're going to be standing around a lot. You're going to be squatting over the table, moving models around. You're going to be going up and down, sitting, packing armies away, going from table to table. And then the amount of interaction you're going to have, the amount of rules and mechanics that you're going to be going through with your brain, it is exhausting. And it is really important that you do everything you can to reduce the strain both on your body and on your mind. So the first most important thing is, if there are chairs, sit. If you're not doing something actively on the table, please take a seat, take a load off of your legs and your feet. Trust me, by the time you hit your 3rd or 4th game, you will thank me. You also want to make sure that you are very familiar with the core rules, and at very minimum, the rules for your own faction. If you want to learn the rules for the other factions, even just a passable understanding takes a lot of, or removes a lot of the strain on your brain from having to constantly try and figure out what your opponent needs to do. The more you can autopilot, the more time and energy you're going to be able to free up to actually play the game and enjoy yourself. It's also important to go into an event with a firm understanding of your expectation and goal for what you're looking to get out of a tournament. Are you just there for having fun and socializing, something more casual, or are you actually there to try and win it all? And depending on what you're looking to get out of it, it does dictate the amount of preparation you're going to be putting into the event. If you're there looking to just socialize, have a bit of fun, then you can probably get away with knowing the core rules and your own faction. It's probably not a problem that your opponent will have to explain stuff to you, or you'll have to explain stuff to your opponent. You're not there to win, and your opponent won't be expecting that much of you as well. And if you do waste a bit of time explaining stuff repeatedly, it's not a big deal, because you're there more for the socializing aspect of it, and your opponent is there for the same. You'll probably go with like a 2-3, 3-2 result, be middle of the pack, and you're going to have a great time. However, if you are going there to win it all, you're looking to go 5-0 and smash your competition, there is a lot more preparation that's going to be going into leading up to the event. You're going to need to know the core rules and your own faction in and out like perfectly. And you're also going to be trying to get as many practice games against as many of the meta armies as possible, so that you have a firm grasp of the ins and outs of what your opponent is trying to do. This means that when you get into the game, you aren't wasting your time explaining what your stuff does, and your opponent will not have to waste their time explaining what their stuff does to you. At the highest level, there is an expectation that you know what your stuff does, and you know what your opponent's stuff does. This does lead into the etiquette as well, where you aren't wasting time back and forth, especially in competitive play where you do have a limited amount of time to play the game. Your opponent's not going to want to waste time explaining stuff to you and answering the same questions repeatedly when this is something that you should know. And then finally, just some very broad etiquette stuff. Make sure that you arrive on time for every game. Show that respect for your opponent and that you value your time as well as your own. And then make sure that you verbalize to your opponent when you're rolling your dice and what you're rolling for. Make sure that they can see your rolls, and that when you take dice away, that you're picking up your misses and failures and leaving successes for your opponents to see. Nothing's worse than actually making a roll, but you didn't tell your opponent and they weren't able to see it, and so they're going to be like, okay, well, you need to roll it again. Or if you're picking up your successes, your opponent's going to start challenging you on, well, you picked up some of your misses as well, right? So just make sure that they see your rolling and that you're picking up your failures and misses first. And that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you found some insight into it, whether you're a newbie to events or you're a veteran who has gone to events before, I hope you found some value and are able to be better prepared for events moving forward. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, and you can check out my other social media platforms. I'll make sure to drop links in the description below. And as always, until next time, happy hobbying.